So hello and welcome to the first section of this course. So आज हम क्या करने वाले हैं? Today we're going to discuss about what psychology is. क्या है psychology? Everybody you meet, they say, what do you mean by psychology? You don't even know what do you mean by psychology. So today we're going to discuss कि psychology भाई होता क्या है? What is it? So according to me, psychology is nothing but it is a study of how your brain, your soul, and your body balance together in order to carry out the function, in order to regulate your behavior. So whenever somebody will ask you what do you mean by psychology, psychology hota kya hai, being a psychology student you should know that psychology is nothing but it is a study of balance between your brain, your mind, and your body. Okay, and it also includes soul because there is one spiritual aspect of psychology too. There is also a humanistic existential theories to understand what your real self is. So this is what psychology is all about. तो अब कभी भी कोई पूछे कि भाई being a psychology student what do you mean by psychology, so what you will say, psychology is nothing but it is a study. क्या करता है ये स्टडी करता है what how your body, your mind, your soul, everything is balanced in order to carry out any of the function. And if there is any abnormality, if there is any disbalance between your mind, brain, body, or any other activities in your body, in that sense it will lead to some abnormal behavior and ultimately it will convert into a psychological disorder. So in order to understand what do you mean by psychology, you will study the balance between your body, your mind and behavior. तो हम जो भी चीजें कर रहे हैं, for example छोटी से छोटी cognitive activities, for example if you are going for a bathing, if you are going for doing toothbrush, that too require a balance between your mind, your body and your soul. So for example आप अपने दिमाग को ऑपरेट कर रहे हो, you will give the command to the brain and in response to it the body will work. So this is what we study in psychology, and if there is any deviation between that, that will lead to the abnormality or psychological disorders. Okay, so there are various branches of psychology, for example clinical psychology, for example cognitive psychology, for example social psychology, developmental psychology, evolutionary psychology, forensic psychology, health, neuropsychology and occupational psychology. And this is the various aspect. For example, clinical psychology will deal with the diagnosis and treatment of psychological disorders, right? Social, about the social behavior, what are the social isolation, how people they don't want to go into the social conditions. There are certain people जिनको socialize होना नहीं पसंद है. So why is it so? What are the reason behind such a behavior? So this is the aspect of social psychology. Moving towards the cognitive, any disbalance or any changes in the cognitive functioning talks about the cognitive psychology. Moving towards the developmental psychology, how the developmental stages take place, how the development take place in different stages of development. Okay, so forensic psychology deals with the forensic evidences that come, how a criminal mind works, everything, okay, related to that. Now moving towards the next thing, what do you mean by pseudo-psychology? Now being a psychology student you should be very clear, very clear कि भाई psychology क्या है और pseudo psychology, as the name suggests, pseudo means false. So pseudo psychology means when unscientific or fraudulent methods of understanding the behavior and mind are used. For example, बहुत से लोग एस्ट्रोलॉजिस्ट को साइकोलॉजिस्ट समझने लग जाते हैं. दे आर लाइक कि हमारी सारी प्रॉब्लम्स का सोल्यूशन एस्ट्रोलॉजी के पास है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल पामिस्ट्री हो गई कि भाई इसको सब कुछ पता है. द वे ऑफ predicting things without any scientific reason is what pseudopsychology is. And many of the people don't differentiate between it and they think that both the things are same, but this is not. So this is what I want to say, that psychology is something which is scientifically proven and which is not fraudulent, while pseudo psychology is something which is unscientific. There is no ground for psychology, there is no scientific ground, उसका कोई scientific ground है ही नहीं. For example astrology है, अपना आप किसी भविष्यवाचक के पास जाते हो, उससे बोल दो भाई मेरा भविष्य बताओ, अब ये कोई साइंटिफिक रीजन के बेसिस नहीं है. You cannot rely upon that. But there are some people who think कि हाँ भाई इसको सब कुछ पता है, ये तो अंतर्यामी है, he knows everything. So this is the difference between psychology and pseudo-psychology. And in this, we're going to study about what do you mean by psychology. And we don't have to go in what do you mean by pseudo-psychology, but this is something you should know being a psychology student. If you want to pursue psychology in future, this is something that you should know ki bhai, psychology is nothing, it is not related with something which is unscientific or fraudulent, right? सो हम बिहेवियर स्टडी करेंगे, हम माइंड स्टडी करेंगे, लेकिन साइंटिफिक तरीकों से, एकदम एडिक्वेट तरीकों से, नॉट ऑफ fraudulent methods, not of unscientific methods. So this is what we're going to study. Okay, so in the next video we're going to talk about the course preview, what all the things will cover in the course. I'll discuss over there. So for today this is all. Okay, आई होप कि आप लोगों को अब पता लग गया कि व्हाट डू मीन बाय साइकोलॉजी, व्हाट डू मीन बाय स्यूडो साइकोलॉजी, एंड हाउ दीज बोथ द थिंग्स आर डिफरेंट एंड शुड नॉट बी यूज्ड इंटरचेंजेबली फॉर ईच अदर, राइट? So we'll meet you to the next class. Thank you for being here.